for the first time in a decade, the Cowboys are looking for a new head coach. A lot of speculation on who the Joneses are looking for to fit that role. What's the latest?
Well, I can tell you that Mike McCarthy spent the most amount of time here of the two coaches that have already gone through interviews. Marvin Lewis came in on Friday. Mike McCarthy was here throughout the weekend. And then I got an intriguing tip this morning. Mike McCarthy has reached out to a running backs coach candidate to inquire to see if they would be interested in a job. Now, it was not told to me where Mike McCarthy clarified that job would be, but I do find it fascinating that it comes on the heels of a very impressive visit here at the Star in Frisco. This is a guy that we had talked about had changed his offensive system. He did that great piece with Tom Pelissero on the NFL Network talking about looking into ways that he can improve. So without getting into the details as to who this running backs coach is, I think it's interesting that he's assembling a staff for a job to be determined, Kay.
Thank you so much. You're connecting the dots for us. Thank you so much. Jane Slater will talk to you throughout the show, throughout the morning here on NFL Network as that search continues in Dallas. Back here at the breakfast table, yes, they're looking for a coach. There's probably a list. They're talking to lots of people, but there's a lot of different seats to be filled at the table.
Yeah, let's look at the landscape for a second here. So Mike McCarthy, that's his fourth team he's interviewed for already. Let's see if he gets a Dallas job. It's a possibility. He's talking to those running backs coaches for the staff that he's assembling for somewhere else. I know his Cleveland visit went very well. I know that Carolina went very well, and he met with the Giants as well. So Mike McCarthy, 4 different teams have vacancies. He's interviewed for all of them. Let's see if he gets one of them. Giants are fascinating. Giants want to meet with Matt Rule. Giants want to meet with Josh McDaniels. Giants have met with Bieniemy and Wink Martindale. Curious to see what happens on that front. The Browns, wide open. Browns are wide open, and they came out and said the coach will have some determination as to who the GM is as well. So that's a very appealing job. You come in and you say, okay, well, then I could also pick who's going to be the GM, and we can kind of work this thing together. They've got a full slate as well, including Kevin Stefanski, who now things get tricky because he's preparing for the 49ers. They didn't expect Kevin Stefanski necessarily to be able to interview. And lastly, the Carolina Panthers. I know that they're in Waco, Texas right now. They are meeting with Matt Rule today. They're going to get the first chance to meet with Matt Rule. They will then obviously meet with McDaniels if they can at some point this week. And they're also having already met with McCarthy and Bieniemy. So wide open. The Cowboys, not the only prime job available. And some people might think some of these other jobs might be even more attractive based on what they can provide.
Stefanski can't Skype in for that interview?
I know. Stefanski, you have to fly to Minnesota now to interview with him as opposed to him come to your building. I'll just say this. Kevin Stefanski last year interviewed for the Cleveland Browns job. A lot of people in the building who are still there wanted him as the favorite. The people that might not be there anymore said, let's go with Freddie. So Stefanski to Cleveland could be something very
There's kind of a hot take out there that the Cleveland Browns job is more desirable than the Dallas Cowboys job, which I don't agree with. We can get into all the personnel and the quarterbacks and everything. If I'm going to a job, I want to know that I'm going to be there for a while. The Dallas Cowboys have had 8 head coaches in their whole history. The Cleveland Browns have had 7 in the last decade. I mean, it's a tough stat. How do I know I'm not going to be that guy? A year from now, if I go 5-11, am I out? Do I have any time? Whereas the Cowboys, it's still glamorous as hell. And I think it's just, I'm going to give some more time there. Cleveland, how do I know?
Who has more talent on that roster? Cleveland or Dallas?
I think that's a dangerous thing.
I think that's it. When you look at the talent on the roster, you assume that going to Cleveland, you'd have the luxury of having a leash a little bit longer than most new head coaches. But Freddie Kitchens had 1 year and he's gone. Look at the Giants. It's appealing because it's the market. I mean, this is New York City, baby. I heard it a long time ago, 4 years ago when I moved here. You make it here, you can make it anywhere. But you're going to have to battle the market because this place will eat you alive if you're not ready. And then you look at Dallas, nothing more appealing than that star. I mean, if you're decent, you'll last a long time. Look at Jason Garrett. I mean, for whatever it's worth, Jason Garrett is a household name because of that star. If he had that same type of record on a small market on another team, we wouldn't be talking about him like we are right now. So I would say, yes, the most desirable place is the Dallas Cowboys because if they can retain Dak and then keep Amari Cooper and then the talent that they have with the running backs.
Those are ifs, right?
No, those are big ifs.
They're very invested.
Those are big ifs you have to address.
They're invested in their running back, right? They've made that investment down in Dallas. What makes this so difficult, and there's so many factors to consider and where a head coach would want to be and the desirability of any position, it's your quarterback. If I'm a head coach, isn't that like the first thing you're thinking of? It all comes down and boils down to that. Who's my QB? Daniel Jones? Okay. Dwayne Haskins, Ron Rivera clearly sees something. Ron Rivera had to see something in Dwayne Haskins that made him take that job. I don't believe any other factor overpowers that. It's the quarterback. And with Dak, I wish they had locked him up this year because then it'd be easy. Oh, I'm inheriting Dak Prescott. You don't necessarily really know if you are.
And you're inheriting a really expensive running back.
And
I don't think
probably
looks spectacular this
not
year.
inheriting a number one wide receiver named Amari Cooper because he's probably gone.
But
So
you got
what
Gallup.
really do you have?
You got an inexpensive
Okay,
wide receiver, Gallup.
Juju, did he make that leap to the number one guy? Can Michael Gallup be that number? There's a lot of
That's a
question
big
marks.
question mark. It's a big question mark.
The Giants' job is intriguing because not only the market, you know your quarterback is Daniel Jones. He's at least serviceable. You know you got Saquon.
Ooh, Saquon.
And the salary cap, they completely cleared out. They've got a wide open salary cap after 2 years of being in salary cap hell.
Yeah.
You're tied to Dave Gettleman. With the Cowboys, you're tied to Jerry Jones. With the Carolina Panthers, you're kind of going in there. I'm not sure. It's a new owner. Cleveland is saying if you get this Cleveland job, you're going to help pick the GM and you're going to work with the Podesta.
Which that relationship,
Are
it
you
can work
married to
wonders.
Baker? Like, seriously, that person didn't draft Baker. The GM didn't draft Baker. Is Baker locked to be there? What if the coach comes in and says, I'm not feeling it. I want to try my own thing?
Yeah, but Shregs, you make a good point when it comes to the head coach and the GM being on the same page. Prime example of that, San Francisco 49ers. You look at that relationship with Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and we all thought, is it going to work? John Lynch, former player, soon to be Hall of Famer. You pull him from the booth. But now you see those guys. That was the first person they hugged after they got that big victory and got their launch into the playoffs.
Two names who haven't been interviewed at all, and two names who I don't know what's going to happen. Lincoln Riley, the head coach of Oklahoma, and Urban Meyer, the former head coach of Ohio State. They have not. Deep passes to the fullback, Patrick DeMarco, in crunch time.
YOLO. Down in Houston, they're about bolos, I hear, 22-19. Let's hear, though, from the losing quarterback, Josh Allen, who made some really good plays and some really erratic ones after his first playoff defeat.
We didn't execute how we should have. We didn't make as many plays as we should have. It's really what it comes down to. They made one more play than us. It's a couple things early, and we got to continue to keep executing. And it sucks. This is a team that fought the entire game. I really appreciate how the guys battled today. We make one or two different plays, and it's a different.
Really, really interesting times now in Foxborough and in New England. We are now just 72 hours removed. Here's what Tom Brady had to say in the immediate aftermath of losing to the Titans.
Just very grateful for, the experience of playing this year for this team, this organization, and over the course of my career too. So I appreciate it. I hope I've always, tried to do the right thing out there, and who knows what the future holds. So we'll leave it at that.
Is there any possibility that you would retire after this last season?
I would say it's pretty unlikely, but hopefully unlikely.
Let's welcome in Ian Rappaport. Unlikely that he will retire. Those are his words. The back of the Post today saying, which way will he go? And they mocked up Tom Brady in a Chargers uniform and in a Colts uniform, which is very interesting. Did we just see the last of Tom Brady in the uniform he's wearing in the middle here, the one that he's worn for 20 years?
I don't know. And it doesn't sound like Tom Brady knows. And what was so interesting about this, Kay, was this is the most uncertain Brady has ever been. And I've seen a lot of different takes on this, a lot of different opinions on what Tom Brady said and what he sounded like. The facts are this is the first time that Brady has ever said that he may not play next year. He didn't only say unlikely, he said hopefully unlikely, which is an indication that, as he knows, it's not necessarily up to him. If the Patriots don't want to bring him back at the price, which you'd think would be more than what he made this year, more than $25 million, then who will? Would it be potentially the Chargers? Would it be the Colts? We don't know the firm answer to that. When you look in the landscape of some of these quarterback opportunities, there's really not a lot of them this year. Now, of course, he's Tom Brady. He's the greatest of all time. So this is all kind of ridiculous. But the most thing we know is that he is unsure about his future. And Robert Kraft told Peter King today that he wants Brady to either retire in a Patriots uniform or just retire. But even he doesn't know what the future holds.
And he's never struck me as a guy who's motivated by money and what he's making. So I don't know how much that would even play into it in retaining him on the Patriots or him taking a deal elsewhere. It's very weird to consider that he'll have a lot of time to ponder this, sitting on the couch and watching the divisional round of the playoffs with the rest of us, him and Drew Brees eliminated. Ian, love you. Talk to you soon. What did we think at the breakfast table about what's next for Tom Brady?
He's doing that whole thing, and he also was saying the Patriots. He wasn't saying we. So I'm doing linguistics here. and I'm like, he keeps on referring to the Patriots,
person,
but not
interesting.
saying we as a franchise. I've seen Peyton Manning play for the Denver Broncos. I've seen Brett Favre play for the hated Minnesota Vikings. I wouldn't be shocked to see Tom Brady somewhere else next year for a boatload of money and a franchise saying, let's just go for it one time in a small window. We've got some players. We just need Tom Brady's leadership and what he could bring to the table. I know Robert Kraft and him, it's family, and that's real. That won't be ruined if he goes somewhere else. I am not of the belief, like everyone else seems to be, that he is Patriots or nothing. I could see Tom Brady in another uniform because I've seen legends do it before.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Listen, Peyton Manning, he was with the Broncos, right? And he broke some records and won a Super Bowl. Brett Favre had a run with the Minnesota Vikings and almost went to a Super Bowl. But we all saw Jordan with the Wizards. That's what I don't want to see. I'd rather see the fall off gracefully in the same uniform from my favorite player. I don't want to see him fall off gracefully in another uniform. Please don't let Tom Brady be another not New Jersey on another squad.
He's not going to leave, I think, unless Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick let him leave. I think they can do things to keep him here. And most important, we keep hearing all these examples. Like, Peyton Manning was never going to leave Indianapolis if not for Andrew Luck.
Right.
Favre was never going to leave Green Bay if not for Rodgers.
Talk about it.
Montana would not go to the Chiefs if not for Young. Like, those are the reasons they let that happen. I think that if Robert Kraft says, Tommy, let's sit down, let's go on the boat or whatever. Let's do another couple of years. We're going to give you this money, and I promise you we're going to be aggressive as hell in free agent and get you the weapons that we need. I think that's the reason he's going to stay. I do, and there's no one to replace him.
Yeah.
No one. There's not a guy.
I want to be pragmatic, and I don't have I just feel like he's unhappy. He looks unhappy to me, and that's just my opinion from seeing him week in, week out. He just doesn't look like he's happy up there at those post-game pressers or on the sideline or on the field. It just wasn't a good year. Not that he couldn't turn it around, and there's always is the grass greener somewhere else? Because you're looking at pragmatically where he could go. A team that's contending, I'm sure he wants to win. That's who he is. So teams that have quarterbacks in question, Phillip Rivers, what's going on with the Chargers? LA is nice. Giselle might want to be there. You have to consider all of those things. He's done it all. He's won 6 rings. Other things become more important than football and where you're playing football. So there's a lot to consider. I
think there is something to the fact he sold his home in Massachusetts. Like, they sold their home, and he's now getting into TV production, and he's got other interests. And I spoke with him 2 weeks ago before that game on Saturday night against the Bills, and he seemed very fulfilled and very at ease with everything and was very self-aware that we just don't have the weapons this year, but it's not those guys' faults. They're rookies. Like, Jacoby Myers is a rookie, and Mohamed Sanu just got here. You can't ask them to be that. I feel like this might be the end of the road. I could see him in another uniform. I didn't see him crying over being the Patriots and what this means and all this. And I didn't see it after the loss.
What do you say to the pitch that we know the roster wasn't there this year? You still won 12 games with terrible talent around you. We can keep you here. We'll make moves. We'll bring in names.
Compelling.
We'll go here. Do this right. We'll help you.
It's very compelling. Why didn't you do that this past August when
we dropped the ball
from the mountaintops?
We had issues with Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown. We tried. It was a weird year.
They've done it before. What, 17 division titles? Like, they've done
17 division titles.
They've done it before. So this is one of the years where they didn't do it. With the draft, trades, and free agents, they'll be able to give Tom the talent. Listen, after LeBron left Cleveland after winning a championship, he went to L.A., yes, because he's rooted out there. Maybe his wife wants to be out there. He has production companies
Built a
out
house.
there. But he also can win an NBA title. You think Tom Brady's going to leave somewhere just to put up numbers?
Yeah,
just to play football?
Lakers were terrible when LeBron went out there. Why would that be any different than Tom Brady going and saying, hey, Anthony Davis, come with me? If Brady goes to, I'm just saying a team, goes to the Carolina Panthers or Chicago or Miami or anything, you don't think veteran players are going to be like, you know what, let's go with Tom? Like, I don't think it's one of these deals where he's going to play for an expansion team.
Because after 18 years, LeBron's head is still at the rim, and he's still dunking on dudes. I think at this point in Tom's career, he wants to stay in the most comfortable system and the players that know his game.
So without McDaniels and without all these guys he's playing with, without Gronk, that's the most comfortable system.
He's going to have to get another OC potentially on page with the playbook and more young wide receivers. And why not go somewhere else, change it up a little bit? And why are you afraid of him playing somewhere else? Did it really hurt? And I'm from Chicago. Did it hurt what you think of Michael Jordan to know that he went and played for the Wizards?
It didn't hurt to see him play with the Wizards. It was what he looked like.
My childhood, I thought it was an eyesore, and he was terrible, and he didn't have it. And he was getting a shot blocked by Paul Pierce. He didn't have it. I think Brady still has it. I don't think Jordan did.
Looking back at his legacy, you look at
at the time, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
It's an eyesore. I mean, it shouldn't have ended that way. It should have ended with him getting his 6th championship ring with the Bulls and then calling it a day. Brady's fascinating because there are other interests in his life. He wants to do more than be this football player. He wants to have the lifestyle brand. He wants a TB12. Like, this isn't in a bubble where some of these guys are football. Brady is a renaissance man in a lot of ways and has visions beyond just being a New England Patriots quarterback.
But he also is competitive, and he wants to go down as the greatest, and he wants to win another Super Bowl. I'll say this. I've said it before on the show. Brady is the GOAT. Hands down.
Sure.
There's an argument that can be made that he's the greatest quarterback ever. You can also say he's the greatest system player ever. Brady, without the system that he's in, might not be Tom Brady, especially at this age. That's what I don't want to see. Now, if it's a package deal, he goes to McDaniels and a few players, and he has a running back and wide receivers. That's a different ballgame. But it's not going to work. You guys think it's flawless?
How about Brady's watching the show right now?
And he's like, I'm not a system guy.
I'm a system guy?
Exactly.
Let me go prove to you without Belichick and without McDaniels.
I wouldn't walk away from Belichick. He'll beat you with Jared Stidham next year. Watch. I mean, Belichick, you think is a huge part of that? I understand you want change. You want to walk away from the greatest coach ever? I don't know. I wouldn't do it. They got to give him weapons, though.
Do you think it's fun playing up there? I know they win all these. Do you think
to win?
Brady said it in his presser after the game. He said, I'm blessed to be here.
LA?
I'm blessed to be here.
Once we start chasing the production companies and stuff, I'm kind of out. Like, it just feels like we're grabbing straws. I don't know. You know what I mean?
But that is why LeBron left.
LeBron is a whole different animal from a different generation.
And he also brought AD with him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying Brady better have a top-tier talent with him, or at least on that team wherever he goes.
Does he watch the divisional round?
Yes. I think he's a fiend for football, and I think he wants to feed on what he's not doing. My guess. Yes.
He's definitely not playing this weekend. Drew Brees isn't either. Two veteran quarterbacks, but the youngsters are going to go at it. Brady on the bench for the Super Bowl on the couch, actually. It's the NFL's 100th season. We're celebrating with experiences of a lifetime. If you want to win tickets to Super Bowl 54, you can attend NFL Honors. So much fun. Steve Harvey hosting again. You can launch the confetti cannon if your team wins the big game.
That's true.
Can you imagine this? Enter for a chance to win. Submit a video or